I've got some news that's not gaming related, but I won't bring it up on the podcast. So I'll bring it up now. It's a whole bunch of people have been warned off shooting into Hurricane Irma in Florida. Someone started a Facebook group where 54,000 people were planning on shooting their guns into the storm.
Why?
To show the hurricane that they shoot first.
Oh, wow. That is so the police, American.
Everyone, the NRA has had to come out an official statement on Twitter and say, and they put up like a little diagram about bullets curving back on you and stuff. I was like, man, it can't get any more satirical than this, but it's real life. I'm really scared. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Overcast Gamer Show. My name is Abe Foster. It is the 11th of September. It is a Monday evening, and I'm joined by...
Regan Harper.
Balthazar Valentine.
And we're recording on Monday as I was unavailable yesterday, as per our usual sort of flimsy schedule.
I don't even know that you would call what we do scheduling. We're sort of just like, hey,
just like...
Yeah.
You guys free? Yeah, nah. There's a 50% chance.
Flip a coin. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How you guys doing?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Bought a car yesterday. Throw that out there as a
man.
conversation topic.
Mazda Demio?
No, not a Mazda Demio. Went and saw a Mazda Demio, and it was awful.
Oh man!
So no, we went out to the Hut and got a Ford Focus 2006.
Oh, nice.
So
man.
Yeah, it's legit.
2006, same year as my car. Good shit.
Yeah. It was a good year. Good year, that one.
Good year. Good. 16 was a hell of an age.
Yeah, but no. So just trucking along, really. How about you guys?
Yeah, I can't really think of anything that's been going on, but I'm sure it's been good.
Yeah, your health's gotten better.
Yeah, for the most part.
Nice.
I still have that persistent cough, but I mean, I had that before I was sick anyway. That just comes with being General Grievous 2.0.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm relatively decent. I was strung out from Friday till pretty much Saturday evening with a flu, I guess it was. Pretty knackered, but I've come back off that and I'm feeling relatively chipper. So
nice.
Not too bad.
Good one.
I wanted to talk to you guys about something that was brought up earlier in the week. Me and Balthazar were having a bit of a yarn about it. Now, in our youths, we've probably done some things we're not proud of, eaten some things we're not proud of, maybe eaten some things we didn't know we ate. I wanted to talk to you guys about what's the weirdest stuff you've eaten before. I'm really curious as to, is this a normal thing for people to go around eating just, I don't know, weird things in the youth?
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, for context, the conversation started when Abe, you just asked if anyone else had eaten an apple sticker before, or a sticker off a piece of fruit, and yes. I said, of course, because it is just natural. You eat, you bite into the apple, you don't check it beforehand, you've got the sticker in your mouth, you either notice it or you don't. If you do, you probably take it out. If you don't, you swallow it, and then somehow notice it later, maybe because you look at the apple and now there's half a sticker stuck right next to your bite mark or something. I honestly don't know. Most of my things are to do with, there's a memorable thing to do with food and particularly smells from my youth, and then the grossest thing I can think of is just what I had recently, which I told you guys about, where I had that so I had a open tin of chili beans in the fridge, which had Glad wrap over the top of it, because I used half of the tin. And then I had an open can of Pepsi next to it because I opened the can, took a sip, and then realized it was, like 10 o'clock and I should probably be going to bed, not drinking caffeinated beverages. So I put that in the fridge next to the open tin of chili beans. So the next day when I got home, I took the can out and had chili bean flavored Pepsi, because the smells had just kind of eked together between the two, and the tins had become contaminated.
Amazing.
And it was quite foul, but not too bad actually. It had a beany pre-taste rather than an aftertaste. So when I kind of swigged it into my mouth, it tasted like chili beans. But then when it actually, hit my tongue and tasted everything, I was like, oh no, it is just Pepsi.
Wow.
I just want to do a dramatic reading from Balthazar from our Slack conversation. This is from Balthazar. It says, it's got a pre-taste rather than an aftertaste. So when you pour it into your mouth, before you swallow it, you get that bean juice taste. But once you swallow, it's cokey. And leaving it overnight. And I left it overnight to let it go flat. To be honest, it's just about the worst thing I've ever voluntarily consumed from my own fridge.
So did you push through and drink the whole thing, or just like?
Oh yeah, I'm not going to waste it. Yeah, drank the whole thing. But the grossest thing I can think of wasn't eating; it was smelling something, and it was in college. I was in kind of our group of friends. We were kind of the jackass group. We pranked each other. We did stunts. We did all this kind of crazy crap. And there's one thing that we did, which we called I'm trying to remember now, but it was the Primo Challenge, I think. The Strawberry Primo Challenge.
No.
Oh, no.
And what we did was we got a bottle of Primo. We heated it for 10 seconds in the microwave just so it was, nice and warm and not cold. And then we took the cap off and we put it at the top corner of a cupboard in one of the classrooms, way at the back where it would never get seen. We then went back 6 months later and took it. We put the cap back on. We had it off for a while, then we put it on so it would, contain the smell and everything. And we went back 6 months later and we took it off and we had to take the cap off, stick your nose right in the hole of the bottle and inhale for as long as you could without throwing up.
Oh, man.
And that was good fun. That was the worst smell of my life. I won the challenge because I just have a really good gag reflex, so I didn't throw up. But I just recall a friend, Kenji, who the second he sniffed it, his nose wasn't even fully in the hole and he threw up all over himself.
Oh man, that rancid. There's not much worse than rancid milk, to be honest.
I still have my old Sanyo flip phone, which we used to film all of our stunts and pranks and things. And I've still got that footage of Kenji throwing up all over himself.
Oh man, we might have to find a way to get that online.
I don't think that I could force myself to smell something for long enough that it made me throw up. Like, I think I would just instinctively sort of pull away and just, get some fresh air. That's impressive.
I reckon I could do it for money.
Was there money involved in this?
Honor.
Honor, no, fuck that. Your milk story made me think of another one. I remember I went through a phase where I really liked making those giant milk hot chocolates, fully out of milk kind of thing, and making them, and then instead of letting them cool and putting them in a big plastic bottle so I could drink them like you would have a water bottle around. I used to just drink hot chocolate straight from a pump bottle.
Wow.
And I made one, and I just I left it somewhere, and I found out later on where I left it. I left it behind the curtains in my room. And when you pull your curtains, there's always that little bit at the end that doesn't quite come along. And that's why I never saw the bottle, because it was behind that tiny bit in the curtain. And I found that, 6 months later or something. And it was gnarly. It came out in one big globule.
Oh no. Because it would have been sat behind that curtain getting heated up during the day, cooled down during the night, constantly.
Oh, fluctuating temperature. Yeah. Did a number on that. And the other thing I'll say, my addition to this conversation is also involving hot chocolates. And this is when I'd first started to, I think it was when I first started to make these milk Milo. So you heat up the milk in the stove, on the a pot on top of the stove, and I made one, and I wasn't watching it the whole time, and I poured it, and I put the Milo in, and I made it and all that, and I was sipping away, drinking it, and I got this sort of crunchy bit of Milo. I was like, oh, what the hell is this? And then I sort of pulled it down on my tongue and put it on my hand, and it was a fly.
Oh no!
And that pretty much made me instantly throw up, and I also swore off Milo for 5 years.
Oh wow! Beautiful.
That was absolutely horrendous. That was like a nightmare, eh? It was just
I think the worst I've had in that sense, with insects and things, is I was mowing the lawns in the middle of summer and just kind of, I must have like yawned or something like that, had my mouth open and just had like a mosquito just fly straight down my throat and got stuck in the back of my throat. And I was just like, oh, well, it's not coming up. I'm just going to have to swallow it. So I was just like, gulp.
That's a good source of protein. No fucking around.
Well,
just straight down the throat.
Totally. Yeah. Yep. Added for the day. But honestly, I don't really have any stories like that around gross stuff. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is we used to, in my uni days, we used to make pancakes a lot for breakfast. We had this big flat where there was probably like 6 or 7 of us that would all kind of just hang out there. And I remember we made this massive batch of pancakes. And one time we just had a whole lot left over. Everyone had some and we still had a whole bunch of batter. And I put my hand up and was like, look, let's just cook it up into one giant pancake and I'll try and eat it. And so we made this pancake that turned out to be probably like, I don't know, we called it the super cake, and it was probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 centimeters thick and still like a little bit doughy in the middle. Yeah. And it had and it kind of raised on the edges, and the middle of it stayed concave kind of thing. And we just sort of filled it up with maple syrup, and I just powered my way through that. So it wasn't necessarily gross, but it was awful to eat.
It was excessive.
Excessive, yeah. But like the grossness, I can't think of too much. But yeah, the super cake is probably one of the notable questionable foods that I've had in my lifetime, I would say.
4 to 5 centimeters thick. That's seriously impressive.
It was ridiculous. I think I can find photos. I think there's a photo of it somewhere of me eating it.
We'll whack that up in the show notes via Imager. And, put up the super cake and see if we can get the video of Balthazar's friend throwing up.
Perfect. Added content. There you go.
Very nice, very nice. Well, let's talk about video game, boys, because it is a video game podcast, despite what people may think. What have we all been playing? We'll go with you, Regan, first.
What have I been playing? I jumped on Steam last weekend, or maybe it was the weekend before, don't recall. Yep. But and I was sort of thought to myself, hey, I'm going to try and find something that just something new, something a bit different. And I didn't end up with something new as far as kind of release dates and things, but I ended up buying and playing Pillars of Eternity for the last kind of week or so.
Nice one.
Which is an awesome game. It is in the vein of Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, those kind of top-down isometric sort of RPGs where you've got a party, balls hard, really difficult games. But this one was kind of interesting because it was made by Obsidian, who are the developers, as you noted earlier, who made such classics as Fallout New Vegas. Yeah. And I think originally I guess this was in the vein of the genre that they started out. So they made the Neverwinter Nights series, which were awesome games, and essentially just kind of, it's like what you would do in the 90s if you and some mates knew how to make games and you went, let's just make D&D as a game, right? This epic kind of, sort of game in that sort of style, and it's all dice. You're not physically rolling dice, but it's all done on math, and you've all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But Pillars of Eternity is really nice. Lots of UI changes that sort of just fix up the kind of buggy things that they hadn't quite figured out back in the 90s. They've got these beautiful sort of pre-rendered HD backgrounds, which are really nice, and the games are all about lore, I suppose. They're super thick as far as the story and the world building and the lore, and there's a little bit of some of the dialogue is spoken, but most of the dialogue is just reading, so you probably spend a good chunk of your time just reading text and things like that. And I don't know, have you guys played any of these kind of games before?
I played the demo of Baldur's Gate a long time ago, whenever it was on. What was it then, on PS2 or PS1? I can't even remember.
I'd imagine it'd be PS1, I reckon.
Yeah. I played the demo on one of those PlayStation demo discs, and I remember kind of enjoying it, but as you said, I remember it being ridiculously difficult, and I probably gave up pretty fast.
It's it kind of makes me think of like a game like XCOM these days, where it's super tactical, but it's also real time. So whereas XCOM is turn based, this you're pausing a lot. So if you get into an encounter in a battle, you basically immediately pause the game, and you take all of your guys and you spread them out. You put your tanks at the front, and you basically tell them what to do, and then you unpause and they go and do that, and then you pause again, and and so every sort of, I would say every sort of like 3 seconds or so, you pause the game and you reassess. And so an encounter between your party and let's say 5 or 6 other enemies can take probably a good 10 minutes or so, where every single minute detail is considered the whole way through. So it's really interesting, and it's a type of game that is pretty rare these days, I think. So, and I think it was on Steam for something like $40, something like that, and for the amount of time it would take you to finish the game, potentially 100 hours, it's awesome. But I guess it's quite niche. It's the sort of thing that only some people would get into. But yeah, so I've been playing Pillars of Eternity, and it has been fantastic.
Awesome, man. Wicked. And that's it for you?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I haven't had a whole lot of gaming time, and what I have had has been going into that. So, I played like half an hour of some other games, but I won't even mention them here because, it's only half an hour and they don't.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So, yeah.
I played a handful of crappy demos as well.
As you do.
Terrible, yeah. Some like surfing game that I downloaded and some motorbike game that I downloaded. They were all. I barely even want to mention them, Just garbage. The other thing I played was Telltale's Game of Thrones Episode 1, which is free. All the Telltale series, the first episode is always free as a sort of, reel you in and get you into the story and make you buy the rest of them.
Cool.
I really liked Episode 1 of Game of Thrones, Telltale's Game of Thrones. It was a little bit of a slow start, and as per usual, it's pretty, it's Telltale. It's nothing too out of the ordinary, really. Their engine is looking a bit worse for wear nowadays, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff, really, when you really stop and think about what they're doing. Yeah, and then you see someone glitch through someone else, and you're just like, come on, guys. I mean, really, you don't really have that much you're doing. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and it has the sort of it has the feel of the first 3 series of Game of Thrones. Now I know. We're all Thrones watchers, right? We're all Game of Thrones watchers. Correct.
Yeah. So we're all familiar with the 7 seasons of Game of Thrones that have been on telly, and I have a controversial opinion. I know Balthazar, agrees with me and has the same feelings, that the show has gone downhill in its writing and has turned a bit Hollywood, and the stakes feel incredibly low now. It feels like people have plot armor and they can't be killed because they're integral to the story. That's not why I started watching Game of Thrones. I started watching Game of Thrones because it was riveting and anyone could die at any time, and there was people chatting in rooms the whole time, which I love that sort of stuff, and there hasn't been enough of that recently.
Sitting about talking.
just talking all the politics. I love all that stuff. But Telltale's Game of Thrones sort of gets back to that feel. It's you grow to like a couple of these characters who you control, and some dastardly things happen, and you might get your heart broken at one point, and that's kind of how I felt when I finished this one. I was like, oh, that's actually decent. I might purchase it. And then Balthazar told me there's to its ass, so I definitely won't be.
Just really, really kill it for everyone.
Yeah.
So you've played through the whole thing, Balthazar?
I have, yeah. Up until Batman, I played excluding Minecraft. So I guess up until Minecraft, I played every Telltale game,
right?
And every season of them all, but they all just got so tired and predictable.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones is just what cemented that for me. That was the last one I played, and the fact that it was Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, it should break the formula and everything, and it looks like it will based on the first episode. So yeah, I bought the season, but then no, it just falls into the same tired formula that every other Telltale game follows.
Man, that's a real shame, Because Batman is the only other one I'm curious about. I'll wait till that's free, or maybe I'll download the first episode of that as well, just because it's Batman and Batman's awesome. But everything else, like they're Guardians of the Galaxy, I just don't care. Just do not care.
What do you think?
Unless you do like a property that I'm really, really into, like Breaking Bad or something. God help us if that ever happens.
Imagine that. What do you think it is that Telltale needs to do to sort of shake things up with their games?
Oh man, just reinvent the wheel, really.
Just go ahead and reinvent the wheel. No biggie.
I think they struck gold with season 1 of The Walking Dead.
Absolutely.
And the issue is they've just emulated that.
Right.
11 more times since they did it the first
Mining
time.
that
They
same
haven't
vein.
tried to, they haven't tried to go beyond that. They're just like, people liked it, so keep doing it. But actually, people haven't liked it for a couple of years now. People have been tired of it for a long time and saying, do something new, and they're just not listening.
Interesting.
I remember Telltale had a Jurassic Park game way back in the day, and that's known as one of the worst video games ever made.
Oh, really?
Oh, the Metacritic score is abysmal.
I'm gonna have to go check that out.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much all I've been playing. A handful of crappy demos and the first episode of something that looked quite good, and apparently it's not. So a little bit depressing. Balthazar, what have you been playing, man?
I've actually been playing a lot, so I'll whip through things really quickly. I finished Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice.
Nice.
My opinion didn't change after finishing it. I still think that game is better if you play it as just a Viking tale of someone who goes off to try and bring a loved one back from the dead.
Cool.
Though the ending was really cool. Not the ending scene, that was bordering on garbage, but the ending level where you kind of go up and have the final confrontation is just freaking badass. They finally, for a game that's all about, your weakness as a character, they gave you a really cool sense of simultaneous sense of impending doom and death and being the most powerful badass in the world. Like it was really quite incredible that they managed to achieve that. So yeah, I still say that's a solid game. I recommend people check it out, especially you, Abe, because the puzzles are well up your alley.
Nice.
Now that you've finished it, would you give it a score?
Ooh.
Just to put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a good 8 out of 10.
Nice.
It's a really enjoyable game from start to finish. The things that Doc points for it are just that the story isn't particularly coherent because it's a metaphor basically. Because they're trying to tell the story from two angles. One, that it's an actual story that's happening, and secondly, that it's not a story that's happening at all. It's actually all psychosis and talking about that stuff. It's just really hard to follow along in either of those directions because they try and put both of them front and center together, and they just don't do a good job of it.
Sure.
So it's poor enough to honestly dock 2 points just on how poorly the story's put together, but everything else except for that is top notch. So yeah, I give it a good 8 out of 10.
Cool.
Awesome, man. What else have you been playing?
So after that, I just jumped into my Steam library to finish things off that I started. So I finished the Vanquish remake they put out for Steam that was in sort of uncapped frame rates and 4K and everything.
Nice.
Still a freaking solid game. I jumped in and played The Witcher 2 from start to finish because I'd never played it.
Start to finish. Fuck.
Yeah, did it in one weekend. It's probably maybe 30 hours.
Yeah.
So a lot smaller than The Witcher 3, though that being said, I didn't do any side quests pretty much.
Right.
Not because they weren't The Witcher 3 quality, very much just because when I remembered how much I loved The Witcher, I wanted to replay The Witcher 3, so I was kind of rushing through 2 a bit. But I will say, 2 feels better in some regards to 3. Not all, but the combat and the bosses and stuff are much better in 2, I feel. Bosses in particular actually had a unique flavor to them. Replaying 3 now, there's no variety. The bosses aren't special enemies. They're just enemies with, health bars in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Whereas in Witcher 2, they were actual bosses. Like the first one you fight is this. Oh no, actually, you fight a dragon first. But the most memorable one for me is in the first town you go to after the tutorial, and it's something called the Kairon, and it's basically like the Kraken. And to fight it, you have to drop your Earden sign, the traps on the ground, as it swings a tentacle down at you, and then roll out the way so that when the tentacle hits your trap sign, it gets trapped there and you can then cut it off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how you hurt the boss, by trapping it and then hacking away until it kind of has to shuffle itself onto land. And then you have to climb up a cliff to get above it and kind of jump down and do a plunging attack on it
Yeah, I
from
remember
above.
that battle. It's fucking sweet.
It was a badass fight.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, I was like, hang on. Why is there nothing like this in The Witcher 3? Why is literally every single boss fight just a more health version of a normal enemy?
Yeah, I think it's that classic trade-off between a more linear sort of what's the word? Sort
Making
of
things more accessible.
Yeah, a linear curated kind of experience.
Yeah.
And an open world where they sort of, you lose part of that sort of like care that they give to an open world. They still do a fucking good job of it, but I think that's kind of the thing where it's those things become difficult, perhaps.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's it really. Like, the bosses are about the only thing that are, much better in 2. But it was just interesting to think that, man, 3 could have potentially been even better if they kept those unique mechanics for the bosses of actually, being a Witcher to beat them. Because again, in 3, so that's the other thing I've been playing, is I've been playing through 3 again on PC. I bought the Game of the Year edition, which I actually have a bone to pick with both of you about for different reasons. But man, that game is amazing. Love that game. I've just finished the side quest, Kira Metz's storyline. So, nice. Freeing that tower from the curse and everything.
Oh, such a good mission.
Remembering how nothing ends well in that game ever. Like, even with that storyline, for example, you take Graham or whatever his name is from the city across to the tower and reunite him with his loved one. Yeah. And to restore her to normal, he has to make out with a hideously deformed spectre. And then upon doing so, she just steals his life essence and he dies anyway. And it's like, everything always ends sadly in this game. Nothing ever well at all.
I love it for that reason. Yeah. It's so freaking morbid.
And it's even that same thing when you report back to Kira. She's like, so how'd it go? You're like, well, good news, bad news. Curse is gone. Graham's dead.
You're like, oh yeah, this lady had like a death, like a numbing spell on her or something.
Yeah.
And then the rats ate her. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, ate her a lot. Like, and she's like, I could feel it all, but I couldn't even scream. You're like, oh god,
it's like Stephen King, man.
Yeah. So yeah, that game is incredible, and I'm really looking forward to my 200 or so hours I have ahead of me to go through all the DLCs as well. But my respective bones to pick with each of you. We'll start with you, Abe, since I just mentioned DLCs. You never played any of the DLCs or the expansions for The Witcher 3?
No, I've never played any of the DLCs for The Witcher 3, and I have both of them as well. Mike gave me Blood and Wine and Hearts of Stone. I can't remember where I got that from, but maybe I bought it. I don't know. But the reason I haven't played both of them is because I still haven't finished the base game yet.
Oh my god.
What?
Abe,
why?
What?
What are you doing after this podcast?
Oh man, I don't even know. I'm probably just going to jump off a bridge.
How have you not finished it when you just said you spent the past 2 weeks playing shitty demos?
It's just The Witcher is like a good HBO show, right? It's so good, and it's so like impactful, and it makes you think about all sorts of crazy issues and things in your own life. That it feels dense and it feels unapproachable to me at times. I don't want to go back into that world sometimes, and a lot of that time has been most of my time where I want to play easy to play, happy stuff like Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
But I know I'm being a massive asshole, and I really should, because my god, like, I haven't finished that game and I thought it was a masterpiece. So just goes to show you like how good that freaking game is.
And what are the chances you'll finish it before I finish it again?
Oh man, if you're up to Kira Metz, I mean, I'm on Skellige, I think, from what I remember.
Oh yeah, you could push through and finish that, Abe. I reckon you're probably 2/3 of the way through the game, maybe.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. Another reason is because I'm you guys know I'm a person who gets overwhelmed by video games when they're too big and there's too much to do, and The Witcher is the best example of that. There is so much to do, and in The Witcher everything is excellent. So I'm like, I don't want to miss out on anything, but this game's going to take me a million years to finish.
Yeah.
You just, I feel like you just need to dive in and get into it. Like, it is going to take you a million years to finish, but you owe CD Projekt Red.
I do. It is true. Yeah. I have given them money and bought. I think I bought like Witcher 2 and all that on GOG and just because I like them as a company. I think they're wonderful. So yeah, I really should before I start going out and buying Witcher like merchandise and things and haven't even finished the bloody base game.
So now, for my bone to pick with you, Regan, is I was looking at various games and various people's game libraries, and I saw that you have The Witcher 3 Game of the Year Edition on Steam.
Yeah, I do actually. I do. Yeah. That's fair.
So you chose not to give the developer 100% of the money for the game by buying it on their native platform, but instead giving them maybe 5% so that Valve could just make bank.
So I bought the game from Steam because it was on sale.
Yeah.
And that's really the only reason.
Nice. I thought there was going to be a big story to go behind that.
No, that's it. It was on sale.
How much was it?
Oh, $50 maybe, something like that. As opposed to, yeah, and I know what argument
50 US or 50 New Zealand?
I want to say New Zealand. And I know the argument you're about to come at me with.
That I got the difference between US and New Zealand prices refunded to my account anyway, because that's what GOG does. And so actually I probably paid 50 New Zealand dollars as well.
Exactly.
But I gave all my money to CDPR.
Yeah, well, you've made me feel sufficiently guilty, so good job.
Nice. So now just move on to my final game, which I played for about 2 hours, and we'll maybe go back to eventually. I borrowed Andromeda off Regan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wanted to actually give it a go myself, and I gave it a go myself, and it's really hard to go back to it.
Oh, man.
Like, it doesn't help. Like, the main reason, to be honest, I haven't gone back to it is because I've got The Witcher 3, which I'm playing again, and why would you go from 10 out of 10 masterpiece to a...
Just putting it out there, how good is it on PC? Like,
it's so good. I've honestly, like, I get annoyed at the talky man during the loading screens. You know, when you load into a game and he's like, Geralt seeking Ciri, and he's gone to the bog of... And I loved that on the PlayStation. It gives you something to do while it was loading. But now the fact that the second he's done talking, I'm in the game, I'm pretty sure I'm loaded well before he's done talking, but I can't actually skip that. I've got to let him finish droning on. He annoys me.
I'm pretty sure that's Dandelion.
Old man Dandelion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dandelion was the narrator for those scenes in Witcher 2, but he didn't sound anything like that because he's a young man.
Yeah, interesting.
But it's so good on PC.
Yep. Anyway, sorry, I totally destroyed your train of thought there. Mass Effect Andromeda.
No, yeah, it's just hard to play it when I'm playing The Witcher 3 as well. Like, I don't want to put down a perfect game for Andromeda.
Is it just bland, Balthazar? Like, what's
it's so... So far I've done the first mission. That's literally all. I've done the first mission, and then like what felt like a year of my life of following people around a citadel until I could save the game, because it wouldn't let me save during a, in quotation marks, story scene, which was just walking around a dilapidated station with no lights on, talking to holograms. And yeah, it's just, I don't care. I think that's what it is. It's a massive RPG in which, you know, your decisions are supposed to impact the world. And so if that's the case, surely you should be invested in some way for your decisions to mean anything. But I just don't care. Everyone is so boring.
Have you noticed have they fixed all the facial crap?
It's not like noticeably shit.
Right.
It's not great facial animation, but it's not like it's not laughable anymore. I haven't had any moments where I'm watching it and I'm just like, that was fucking bizarre facial animation. It's not. I don't think it's crap anymore. It's just not great. It's like a game from 5-6 years ago. You know, where they just didn't really try with the lip syncing or anything. Actually, you know what? It's like a Japanese game that's got an English vocal track. So the mouths aren't even vaguely synced up to what they're saying at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And the pacing and timing is all wrong. And sometimes they're done talking when there's still audio coming. But it's not horrible to look at. It's just not right.
Right.
The game just doesn't have any heart, eh? There's no... Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it was actually made by EA as opposed to BioWare. EA secretly got all their business people in to make a video game, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
As opposed to actual developers. But back of the box quote there, Balthazar, it's not noticeably shit.
That's about the best thing I can say about that game so far with my sort of 3 hours I've spent with it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm never going to touch that game. I don't see why I should give any of my time to that game when I've got The Witcher 3 to finish.
Agreed.
Nice. Well, you got anything else there, Balthazar?
Nah, that's it.
That's it. Sweet as. We'll move on to our new game that we're going to try out today. Movies in a minute. We'll be back next week. I watched a shit ton of movies over the weekend, so I have lots to pick from. This game doesn't have a title yet, so that's the first point of order. We need to make a title for this game, or, if anyone wants to suggest a title, send it through, overcastgamer@gmail.com, and, we'll whip that in there, or we'll evaluate your suggestion at least. I've got word game brackets title pending. It's not very catchy, and I'd like to replace it.
You could call it the name because it's game, but where you swap a letter in each word.
Game. What was that?
The name
because it's the game. But if you swap the first letter in each word, then it becomes the name, and that's how you play the game.
Nice.
The game.
Yeah.
Game.
No. I'll leave it.
This is making me think of a jingle, eh? Like, I'm just thinking like a 1980s kind of game show where it's like, what's
behind that board?
Welcome to the game.
Oh man. Anyway, the game is it basically revolves around us. We take a property. Each one of us have got about 5 properties, and we've either replaced a letter or removed a letter to essentially change what the game is. We then have to sort of pitch or describe the game to the rest of the crew. And after we do a round, so we'll do 3, 1, 1, 1, we will decide on whose was the best, and they will be awarded 1 point. We'll do 5 rounds of this, and we'll see how it goes. So, everyone, welcome to the game name game. Okay, so first one. Who wants to go first? Does anyone want to step up to the mark?
I'll go first. Why not?
Regan,
Okay.
Nice one, man. What do you got?
So my first game is Watch Hogs 2. The 2016 porcine surveillance game from Ubisoft, now with drones for aerial examination of your mud-loving friends.
Nice, man.
Watch
You got the
Hogs
drones
2.
in there.
Yep, got drones in there. Well, I had to make it clear which game I was kind of ripping off. So
Right.
Yeah.
Watch Hogs too.
See, mine's not necessarily clear what game. It's entirely in the name. What game? But I'll go next because mine actually ties in similar themes to Regan's about the whole, watching animals. Cattle Field. The premium dairy farm simulator in which you literally just have a field of cattle and you have to, feed them, milk them, decide whether they're going to be dairy cattle actually or beef cattle. Obviously separate the two, decide how you're going to feed and treat each of them respectively, send them off to market, It's just another one of those simulator games on Steam.
Cattle Field. So that's one word, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Cattle Field.
Yeah.
Love it. That is beautiful. Okay. My first one is called Fun Till Dawn, and it's a fairground simulator that operates in real time, so it closes at midnight. Try and have as much enjoyment as you can. This is decided by hidden metrics until the day is done. Fun Till Dawn. Yeah.
Good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Oh man, that's tough. What's everyone's coming down
Well,
on?
see, it now becomes a choice because it's difficult. There's 3 of us, right? So someone has to make the choice as to whether or not they vote for themselves. I'm gonna vote for Balthazar because that was hilarious.
Cattle Field.
Yeah.
I do like Cattle Field just because it's so mundane. That title just almost puts me to sleep immediately. I do like that a lot. But I will give you an honourable mention, Regan, for incorporating drones, which was a big point of interest from Watch Dogs 2 into your actual,
Thank you.
your new property. That was really good.
Appreciate that.
So, no, Balthazar, you take that one out. 1 point to you, man.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
My vote would have been Fun Till Dawn, so I didn't vote for myself because that name, again, it's just how simple it is.
Fun Till Dawn. Just try and have fun until
Yeah.
until you can't play the game because it's midnight. It just literally doesn't work.
It's like, it's midnight now. Sorry. You're logged out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's setting a good example for people to go to bed. Okay. So we'll go for the next one. So we might as well go with the same order.
Same
Regan?
order? Sure. Okay. My second one is nice and succinct. It's Sitman, the definitive VR experience. It is
Sitman, nice.
the evolution of the walking simulator.
Oh man, the logical conclusion of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bloody hell.
So it's a VR sitting simulator.
Can you at least change the sort of surroundings, or is it just going to? Is it just going to put you into a similar looking living room?
Yeah, so I think no, I think you could probably change your surroundings, but yeah, so it's you basically just sitting in different locations.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be like one of those those terrible family photo things where it's just got this crappy looking backdrop on the back and it's just you sitting in front of the Eiffel Tower, but you're about half as tall as it?
Yeah, absolutely. You've nailed it, and in fact, you've become part of my focus group for that game.
Oh,
so
awesome,
I'll ensure to include that in there.
I'm happy to be.
Sitman.
Sitman, awesome. Balthazar.
All right. Portal Combat with a K, of course.
Ooh.
This is a competitive multiplayer puzzle-solving game using portal guns, in which you can also hinder your opponent by basically using your portals to try and do things like decapitate them or remove their legs.
Nice.
That's great.
That actually genuinely sounds like a great game. That
it really
does.
Yeah.
Portal Combat!
Oh man, I can actually see why haven't they brought like GLaDOS or something into Mortal Kombat? She could do some sweet fatalities. Anyway, that's really good. That's really good. Portal Combat, I like it. Okay, my final one is Fife 2017. This is a Guitar Hero styled rhythm game for everyone's most underrated instrument. It's pretty much it's a Fife tutorial, guys. It's
Oh man, that's brilliant.
It is what it is, really. I mean, there's not much I can sell it on. You can skin out your fifes with a like a camo one if you want, and 425. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you got my point. Yep. Fife.
Cheers, man. I'm gonna go for Sitman on this one.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'm agreed with that. Sitman feels like a genuine VR tech download. Steam, right? So.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks, guys.
Good shit. Okay, we'll switch it up now. So Balthazar, if you want to go first with this.
All right. My next one is Super Mario Brothels.
Oh, what?
Well done.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
That's the one I was so proud of in our OCG chat, and I was like, guys, so this is basically like a Leisure Suit Larry style sim game, except with Mario and Luigi. They run a ring of brothels. It's kind of those what do you call them? Like those micromanagement games where you've got to build up your brothel. You can set your prices and things. You can set your rates per hour. You've got to have enough rooms to have people coming in, but not so many that you're losing money on the empty rooms and things. It's just one of those, I guess, like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but where the roller coaster is women. And the tycoon is Mario.
That's definitely going to fly at a pitch meeting. It's just ride the ride. It's just
Nice one.
Brilliant. I love it. Regan, what you got for me?
I'm just having a look down my list as to what the next one will be. I'm going to go with Horizon Zero Pawn. So you run your own pawn shop, but your goal is not to actually pawn any of the things that you get. You hoard them, and so you want to pawn zero of the things that you get, and you win the game by accumulating the largest hoard. So Horizon Zero Pawn.
Nice. I thought you meant PORE for a second there, and I was wondering where that could sort of integrate with Super Mario Brothels.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I would have worked that in, but no, PAWN.
Quest for pornography. No, that's really good. Where does the Horizon part come into that?
I don't know.
It's the name of the pawn shop.
There you go. Yeah, that's all I needed.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, Horizon is the name of the pawn shop, and it's all about actually doing zero pawning. So
it's just hoarding.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, my one I've got here is Grande Theft Auto. So it's find the most efficient route between Starbucks locations, ordering small coffees, and leaving with someone else's larger ones.
Nice.
All right, boys.
I think I'm going to give my vote probably to Balthazar again there because of the cleverness of his title. And also because that game sounds like, although questionable on ethics, kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, I actually agree with that completely. I didn't realize that one letter would change that thing so much. That's pretty incredible. And yeah, I actually really want to play that game where Mario and Luigi are just these like awful pimps, just like cleaning up rates and think, oh man,
it's like
great.
I imagine it being a sort of with that art style where it looks vaguely live action. So for Mario and Luigi to get them as scummy as possible, you would just pick the live action Mario and Luigi from they did.
Oh god, old oh man, what Bob someone. He was Mario, yeah. Oh no, that would be he'd be like Ron Jeremy.
Oh man.
Oh, that's nasty. Anyway, good stuff. Okay, we've got two more rounds.
Cool.
Okay, I'll start off with my one first of all on this time around. So my one is called Fun Charted. This is a spin-off in which you get to play as Nathan Drake in between quests. Use the PS4's motion controls to manually plot coordinates and manage flight itineraries.
I'm detecting a theme with your game now.
Oh, it's great. Nice one.
All right. Regan.
Okay, I'm just kind of have a look down my list. Let's go The Fitness. A puzzle game where you complete Sudoku while running on a treadmill.
Oh my god. So is the treadmill in the game?
So, yeah, the treadmill is in the game, and you can imagine, so you have to match the speed of the treadmill by tapping L2 and R2, kind of back and forth to control your feet, while then using dual analog sticks to complete the Sudoku puzzle.
Holy mackerel, that I don't think I could even get that done, eh?
So
I don't think I've ever done one Sudoku.
Never managed to actually complete one.
No, I don't think I've ever tried, to be honest. I don't like numbers.
Yeah, fair enough. But there you go. The Fitness, extraordinarily difficult puzzle game. Don't know why puzzles and treadmills are mixed together, but there you go.
Nice. Balthazar, what do you got for us?
So this one I actually added yesterday when I was looking through GOG to see what was available, and I saw the name for game, which was just too perfect. So my next one is Sid Meier's Pilates. Organize various Pilates groups, various classes and things. You have to get those groups to the classes, go through the sessions, though going through the sessions isn't actually something that you control. You can just, level up the party, put points in various different attributes and hope that you've spent them correctly for them to make it through the class successfully.
Nice.
That's
That's
I love
great.
the fact that Sid Meier's lending his name to that.
Yeah. Right? It could be a legitimate franchise. Why not? He's making a fit domain.
Nice. I think it's going to have to go to you again, Balthazar, because that one change of letter is just so great.
Yeah, no, that's good. And also the backstory of, I'm just trying to imagine, like, you'd have different, like, groups of people as well. So you'd have, like, an elderly group where you've got to, like, pick them up in the van and drive them to the Pilates center. It's, that's great. Nice one.
Good shit. Okay, final one. Balthazar, you go first.
I'm actually funny. So my last three I have are all ones I found it hard to actually come up with a game for.
We can say, I reckon we can say what our other ones are once we've finished.
Yeah. So I'll just go with All Out 4. So it's an open world sandbox game in which you can just do anything at all. You just go all out. You can just, beat people to death. You can wear their skin if you want to. You can just attend classes, go to school like a normal person. You can wear someone else's skin to class if you want to.
What's with all the skin wearing? It sounds just like you could wear a bunch of skin.
Like the original franchise, just post-apocalyptic. Everyone's gone a bit crazy. But yeah, it's just the ultimate sandbox simulation. Well, it's the fourth one apparently.
Yeah,
Fallout 4.
nice. People love
I
them.
like the meta. I like the meta aspect of that. In that, I remember when Fallout 4 came out, you were so miffed because on the back of the box it says "Go anywhere, do anything."
That's what it was inspired by. I was
Finally getting your dream realized. That's great, Regan.
Okay. My last one is going to be Zelda Breath of the Mild. The latest installment of the Zelda series with completely mediocre level design.
Oh man, that sucks. So it's like what Zelda could have been.
Yeah, it's just completely mild. Everything about it.
Breath of the Mild. That just makes me like curl up a little bit, eh? Just the fact that just when Zelda came out and there was all those tens flying around, I was like, oh, video games, yeah, video games. And now I'm just like, oh, man.
Yeah. But hey, doesn't it make you feel good that we actually live in a world where that didn't happen? We live in the good timeline.
Yeah, we're on the most positive timeline for sure.
We
That's
don't
great.
live in the goatee timeline.
My final one is maybe a bit more of an obscure title. It's a game called Scatamari Damacy, and it's a dung beetle RPG. So actually, yeah, you play a dung beetle and you've got to roll around giant balls of shit and and bring them back to your base.
Just collecting balls of shit. Nice.
Just collecting literal shit. Like, you know, mum walks in, what are you playing video games? Go outside and expand your... Mum, I'm rolling.
Good.
Brilliant. Okay. Everyone's thoughts on those three?
I am going to give you that one because I just like a funny idea. So, yep. Dung Beetle RPG.
The toilet humor. Nice.
I go for Breath of the Mild on that one. I think it's just so close to what everyone believed was going to happen anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. Well, it's going to be a 3-way tie if I vote for All Out 4. So I'm going to be a real cheap motherfucker and vote for myself. My 1 point came by way of me.
Nice.
Nice. So Balthazar actually takes that out with 1, 2, 3. Regan, you got 1, and I got 1. So we're
nice one. Good job.
Yeah.
Turns out Balthazar was pretty proud of his accomplishments there, and rightly so, because those were hilarious. So
For a
nice.
Do you want to know the runners-up that didn't have? I didn't necessarily have ideas fully fleshed out for.
Yeah, go on.
So we had President Evil, which was going to be something to do with Donald Trump.
Of course, yeah.
Simpsons Shit and Run, which was which actually also inspired Mario Fart 8, which I just thought the best part about it is that there were 7 games before that. Like Mario Fart was such a successful game; it's had 7 sequels.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And finally, which I've actually thought of a way to sell now. So this game is the next expansion pack for The Witcher 3, and it's focused on Geralt. It can only be played if you slept with everyone possible throughout the core game and both expansions, and it's called Herpes of Might and Magic.
Oh man, that's great. I thought with the Witcher one, I thought you were going to go with Blood and Wine, but add an H into wine.
No, much more sinister.
Just everyone you've slept with just whinging. I
Nice.
thought I was special. It's the what do you call it when a man has a whole bunch of
a gigolo?
No.
His harem?
I don't know.
Harem is to do with it, but there's a word. Polyamorous? Is it polyamorous?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be either sex can do it, but yeah, polyamorous. It's the Witcher with a polyamorous spin on it.
Nice.
That's great. Awesome. All right. Well, we will move on to some news. There's only one item on the agenda, and guess what? It's related to Destiny 2. Apparently,
Shock
every news
fucking
item.
horror, man.
Yeah. Destiny 2 came out last week? Did it?
Yeah,
Last week
for
or-
Thursday, I think. No,
Yeah.
earlier than that, maybe. I'm not
5
sure.
days ago or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it seems like every news item since has been related to Destiny 2. Oh, how do you get this gun in Destiny 2? Oh, I can't get this gun in Destiny 2. Here's how to not get this gun in Destiny 2. But anyway,
Because
Destiny
that's
2
all you do in Destiny 2 is get guns. From what
and not get them.
yeah.
Gotta have the binary. So yeah, Destiny 2 consumable shader debacle. What's going on here, Balthazar?
So this is something which there's been a lot of good stuff said about this whole incident. And essentially what it is in Destiny 1, there were these things called shaders. And they're basically dyes for your armor. So you can, change the color of your armor. And you got these shaders through various in-game events, and you just equipped a shader in your shader slot, and it shaded your entire armor in, that color or that theme or what have you.
Right.
And in Destiny 2, they've changed it in a lot of ways. So the first way is you no longer keep shaders as things you can swap in and out of this shader swap. When you use a shader, it's consumed, it's gone. So if you change the color later on and then want to change it back, you have to reacquire that first shader again rather than just hanging on to it for whenever you want. The second thing they've changed is they've made it you need a shader per piece of armor now, not just one shader that dyes everything. So to have a matching set, you need 3 of the same shader. And finally, shaders are required via microtransactions.
Oh, I was waiting for that one.
You could see where this was going the whole fucking time.
Yeah, the path was getting darker.
So obviously they say, it can also be, obtained in game, and no doubt it can. They're probably the same shit where there's going to be events. But what pains me is that there were many shaders in Destiny 1 that were exclusive to doing these in-game events, which were limited time. So you had to do it, but if you did, you got this shader, which you could keep forever. If they're going to do that again with Destiny 2, but shaders, you don't keep them forever anymore, you use them once and then they're gone, I don't know, it throws the whole thing out of whack. Because while people have the argument, it's just it's just a cosmetic item, it doesn't affect the game in any way. There is a very simple fact with online games, which is a lot of people play them for the cosmetic aspect. A lot of people don't enjoy a game as much if they don't like the look of their character. Sure. And MMOs as a genre, it's very easy to be stuck with a shit looking character. Do you remember, Regan, when you first started playing Final Fantasy 14 and you sent me a picture of your dude and he just looked fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
imagine being stuck with that for your 1,000 hours that you were playing because you had to pay real money to get a different appearance. Like that would not sit. No one would stick with that game.
Yeah,
you don't want to look like a jackass for 1,000 hours.
And I looked like such a jackass too. I'm pretty sure it was just like a leather, almost like a pair of leather undies that he was wearing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It was awful.
With imagine those those poofy white undershirts that people would wear sort of in Civil War times that they'd put their real shirts over the top of. These were just the baggy under. It was like that, but that was his overshirt. So that was what was on the top half, and leather underpants.
And leather underwear.
Man, it was incredible. But yeah, you could basically be stuck looking like that in Destiny 2 forever. So yeah, the argument is it's just cosmetic, so no one matters. But the counter argument, which I've never heard before and actually think is a great argument as someone who does quite, take pride in looking better than the competition in games, is cosmetics do actually affect gameplay. A lot of people don't enjoy a game as much if they don't like how their character looks. And a lot of people, there's games like Warframe, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, a lot of games I play where the name of the game is not what it's actually called within the game. Warframe is called Fashion Frame. Guild Wars 2 is called Fashion Wars 2. Final Fantasy 14 is called Final Fashion 14. They are entirely games in which when you reach the end, the goal is not to, get better gear, it's to get better looking gear and just look as cool as you can. That's the aim of those games. And Destiny 1 was very much like that as well because of the shocking lack of actual content. It was, I'm going to get the coolest looking shit so that people think I'm a badass and know what I'm doing. And Destiny 2's removed that by putting it behind microtransactions. You have to spend real money now to do that. And a lot of people are justifiably extremely unhappy with that.
It's pretty blatant, isn't it?
It's if this were a new game, you wouldn't notice it as badly, but it's the fact that they did it better in the previous game that now it's like they gave it to you and now they're taking it.
Taking that shit away.
I just have a question for Destiny 1. I did play Destiny 1 quite a bit until I realized there was not much there. And with the shaders, so you get would one color be really rare? So you'd run into someone that's like, oh man, I've got purple. Yeah, like you'd see as he's shaded.
So there were some color schemes that could only be obtained during specific events. So, like for example, I had one that was black and like bright neon blue. So the base color was black, and then highlights on it was like a glowing neon light blue color. And that one was only obtainable during the Sparrow Racing event, and it was a very rare drop during that event. So having that one just meant it was basically... I never saw anyone else with it, and if anyone ever asked me how to get it, the answer was, you can't. It's not in the game anymore. You can't get it now. So yeah, that was something that I used where, yeah, there were some armor sets that clashed with it, didn't always look that great, but next to no one else had it in the game. So it was a real standout point kind of thing to have it. So yeah, certainly people used them as a sign of status to be like, I've been around. I've been here a long time. I have shit you can't even dream of. I've got neon blue. What do you got? Purple.
Default. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Colors being traded as status symbols and as part of the economy. It's a very strange dystopian thought.
Yeah.
All color has been drained from the world, and only certain people have access to certain colors. Oh man. All right. Anyway, yeah, no, that's the only news item we have. Balthazar will be picking up Destiny 2. When did you say it was? End of this month?
October 20 something. End of October. There's so much in between now and then.
Man.
About it. There's. I was looking at the list the other day. I didn't even realize how big it was. It's hard.
Just in those last couple of weeks of October, there's bloody Shadow of War, Super Mario Odyssey, South Park, The Fractured Butthole, and then what were the ones that you mentioned?
Destiny 2 on PC, and then Fire Emblem Warriors Switch.
That's ridiculous, man. I can't keep up. Yeah, anyway, that's all the news we've got for today. We'll move on to the final section of the podcast, which is the top 10. And this week, it is myself. And I apologize if I've done this one before. I don't think I have. And none of us can confirm or deny whether I have or not. But it is a little game called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. There's going to be massive outrage depending on what I put in front of that. But yeah, it's Tony Hawk's 2. So Tony Hawk's 2 was the first Tony Hawk game. So Tony Hawk Pro Skater didn't have any, you couldn't do manuals, which is, you do wheelie on the skateboard essentially. Couldn't do reverts, couldn't do anything like that. Tony Hawk 2 has the right amount of mechanics, in my opinion, to make it a solid game without going overboard like further entries in the series where you could ride mechanical bulls and do all sorts of weird nonsense on fire hydrants and things like that. You could even getting off your board in Tony Hawk's Underground was I'm not sure. It felt a little bit weird to me. Tony Hawk 2 just has the perfect amount of mechanics. It's not overwhelming, but there is enough there to be able to string together a good combo and feel good about yourself. It has what I will deem a sick soundtrack.
I think that's time appropriate for sure.
It is, right? Yeah. It's we've got Rage Against the Machine, you've got Millencolin, you've got Rob Zombie. Oh man, it is one hell of a soundtrack, and it got me into a lot of those bands as well. So I'm very thankful for that. Did you guys ever play THPS2 back in the day, or? I'm pretty sure.
I absolutely did. I think I got it in the UK. It was in like a shredded wheat box or something.
Nice. Yeah, we had that same promotion. It was Kellogg's, and they were giving out Tony Hawk's 2 and Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX.
Yeah.
And cereal boxes.
And yeah, I got a cereal that I wouldn't normally get because I think there were two or three games and I wanted Tony Hawk's, so I got the cereal that had Tony Hawk's, even though it wasn't the one I normally.
Nice.
I can remember collecting Skate on all the maps. It took so long.
Hell yeah, man! And there was on Tony Hawk. Well, it started Tony Hawk 1, but the secret tape, which was this videotape. This game is showing its age, right? It's this VHS tape that's floating somewhere in the level, and you can see it a lot of the time, but you're just like, how the bloody hell do I get up there? And eventually you'll figure out you have to do some insane line and land everything perfectly to get the secret tape. And man, is it satisfying when you get it. It is just the best feeling in the world. Tony Hawk 2 also has the limit. It gives you a 2-minute time limit on each level to get as many of the tasks accomplished as you can, which I actually quite like. I'm not sure about the free roaming aspects of the later games as well, American Wasteland and things, and I think Tony Hawk 4 is where they did away from the time limit. I don't know. I like those little those little bite-sized runs that you get given. I feel like you can get a lot done in them, and it sort of gives you a feeling of urgency as well, and amongst all that. But yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, man, that is a cracker of a game, and I've been hunting for it on PlayStation 1 for a long, long time. I've got it on PC. I've got the PC version, as Balthazar mentioned. I also got it out of Serial Box in the mid-thousands, but, I first played this game, God knows when it came out, late 90s or, mid to late 90s, I guess, something like that. But I've been looking for it on PlayStation 1, and it is either really hard to find or really expensive, is what I've come to the conclusion of.
How much does it have you? So you've seen it for sale, but it's been crazy expensive.
It's usually around $100.
Wow.
Like on PlayStation 1, which, I mean, given that it probably won't even work on my PS2, because depending on what's backwards compatibility. Did all PlayStation 1 games work on PS2, or was it just?
I think it was all of them. As long as it was or is it the PS3? Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. Oh God, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I might have to look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I want someone who isn't Robomodo, who is the developer of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which is one of the worst fucking games I've ever played in my life, and the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD remake, which also developed by Robomodo, which they ruined. They ruined that legacy. Any other developer to remake Tony Hawk's 1 to, say, Underground, 1 to 4 and Underground, remake them so I can play them on PS4, please. I'll give you ludicrous amounts of money. I don't care. I used to play Tony Hawk's for hours and hours on end, and I would continue to do so if it was accessible to me and convenient. So that's my message to you guys.
Nice.
But yeah, that's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And that brings us to the end of our show. And once more, you can find us on overcastgamer.com, Facebook, Twitter, twitch.tv/overcastgamerNZ. We do live streams of varying properties of varying relevance. The last one we did was myself and Regan doing some GTA Online antics, which was new to us because I haven't played that game. I think I played it once for about 20 minutes and I kept getting killed and I was like, fuck this.
Yeah. Just like airplanes fall out of the sky onto you.
Yeah. And not in the good way like in San Andreas where airplanes just fall out of the sky and, it's just a bad piece of code. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I think... No, actually, I don't know what we'll be doing this week. We'll be doing something anyway, so check us out on Thursday evenings, 8 to 10 p.m. New Zealand time. And until then, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you again in a fortnight. See you later.
Ka kite.
Bye.
Oh, it's always so delayed.